Okay, let's go through the typical client journey and the options that the client face in the process. It really is very simple. The start point is, okay, that there is a business that you are speaking to that may or may not have a need for the service. Now, ideally, they're an accountant or they are a B2B professional services business with a reasonable client base and a reasonable ticket value. Probably one that has a service that would be applicable to a large number of businesses in an ideal world, but it will work for anybody. So in the first instance, there's a pre-meeting phase. So you've been introduced or you've found them in some way and you're just exchanging emails, but you haven't had a substantive discussion. And at some point you'll have a meeting, typically over the phone, but it could be face-to-face, at which stage you're going to go through the benefits of the process. So you'll talk basically about the process and the way it would increase profits, the way it would improve the client retention through improving client satisfaction, the way it would increase sales, and in the case of cross sales or for accountants with the business mastermind groups, there'd be no increase in overheads. Stand out from the competition, so to create a clear differential and a strong USP. Most businesses need help with that. And ultimately, if we've got everything tickety-boo, great client satisfaction, great marketing content, then two businesses can work together to make highly targeted introductions to new clients of the ideal profile. And finally, this is uniquely for accountants, mitigate against the potential negative impact of making tax digital and also against the increasing threat from artificial intelligence. That's probably more one for the longer term future. So we've had a meeting and basically the business owner is saying, yes, this looks like something we would want to do. And we'd be talking basically about the whole process, but it would go back to a client engagement audit, the initial phase of just conducting the 10 client interviews and trying about 10 times to conduct each one. So you'd verbally explain it, and basically the outcome is, as it shows on the slides, improved retention, cross sales, referrals, and improved lead generation conversion through better marketing and ultimately the referral partnerships. Process is to interview 10 clients, trying up to 10 times to interview each client, and the way the questions are asked is obviously very critical. Price, it's only $399 plus VAT, so it's not expensive, and it comes with a complete guarantee, complete money back guarantee, that the process will successfully interview the majority of clients. It will result in sales opportunities in the terms of cross sales or referrals. You'll get great testimonials, which is marketing content that can be used in marketing. And finally, you'll get improvement suggestions. And if we don't get at least 3 out of the 4, money back guarantee comes in and we'll give the money back. The only reason we don't guarantee all 4 is on 2 occasions out of hundreds of client engagement audits, we have failed to get improvement suggestions. Most of the time we'll get 3 or 4 improvement suggestions of reasonable quality, and we inevitably get loads and loads of great marketing content. So it's a bit of a no-brainer, really. Now clearly the whole sale is not geared towards just making a few calls on a client engagement audit. It's really about getting into a longer term discussion, longer term relationship. So you go back to the client. Let's be clear, at this stage we haven't actually closed them. We've had a verbal discussion and they're positively minded to go ahead. So we agree to follow up with a proposal, and the proposal is a 1-page overview. That goes off, and then the next stage in a process with a client is you'll leave them to think about it. You then go for a telephone call, says, like, when are you going to go ahead? Or if you're not going to go ahead, just let me know, and if I can persuade you to go back into the when I'm going to go ahead, great. Don't waste time with those that aren't going to go ahead. And if they're not ready to go ahead for a couple of months, then just give them a call in a couple of months on the back burner. So keep focusing on only on those that are going ahead. Don't push it, closed doors. So client engagement audit gets commissioned, and off we go. We start making the telephone calls. There's loads of contact with the client, and there's lots of trust building up as the client sees lots of good stuff happening and lots of communications happening. And the real aim is to go back after the initial client engagement audit and review the output. So expectation, we will have interviewed probably everybody, maybe 1 or 2 that we didn't get through to for whatever reason. We'll have some great marketing content, we'll have some sales opportunities, we'll have some improvement suggestions, and the real question is, right, we've only interviewed 10 out of what are hopefully thousands of clients. can you afford not to be interviewing more clients? And then if the agreement is yes, this looks like something that's sensible, then the other question is to come back to the points that you can see on the screen. If they want to increase the profits, referrals, retention, etc., just doing the interviews doesn't achieve anything. It's just a cost. You've got to have a process that follows on from the interviews in order to make sure the benefits are delivered. So off we go. We'll have the process of sending gift, requesting permission to publish, publishing the content, and in so doing having lots of communication and improving the relationship, and finally we get to the point of pitching for referrals and cross sales. And in an ideal world, the business also systematically goes through the improvement suggestions and rectifies things in the business. So interviews and a process of basically creating and approving marketing content continues, and if you're doing that, then it makes sense to also deploy the marketing automation. And that typically takes the form of a bundle, and the bundles typically cost between $297 and $397 per month, so it's not a high cost. Some businesses want to do more, but the strong suggestion is start slow, get the process working systematically within the business end to end, and then increase the volume as appropriate. Now, there's a problem at this stage because we can obviously deploy that. We do successfully deploy that, and that's working, but we'd only probably be interviewing maybe 10% or maybe less of the clients per annum on that basis. And ostensibly, it would just be a process to create some marketing content and get some marketing content out there, and the business may or may not take action to improve or to react to the improvement suggestions. So these are the challenges that the business faces. There's the client satisfaction interviews. Clearly, Enquir3 can do the interviews, but who do we interview? When are we going to interview them? Why are we interviewing them? What's the desired outcome? And if you want to get referrals, well, you better speak to clients who have got a good chance of referring. If you want to maximize cross sales, well, you'll need to have done a gap analysis and identify those of the clients that are most likely to be able to cross sell. And then we ought to differentiate between important clients who maybe get premium treatment and other clients who are maybe treated differently, and you need a sample. So, okay, if we're only doing 4 interviews a month, it's only going to go at a small volume. Change management. In our experience, every single time a business does this, they get quite excited about the feedback, but they actually don't make any changes within their business to stop making mistakes, to prevent things that cause dissatisfaction happening again and again and again. And they need help avoiding the urgent issues that come up every day running of the business, to focus on this one, which is something sort of slightly out of the norm. If they want referrals, they want retention, they want cross-sell, clearly the system and process, we can only do so much from an Enquir3 point of view, but also we need to work on the staff within the business to make sure that the staff change their behavior where appropriate to maximize the benefits. Telephone, clearly Enquir3 are picking up the phone and dialing, but the technology that is now deployed within the cost of the 397 includes the app to collect feedback face-to-face, and really you need to be asking for feedback from all clients, so however many are going to be interviewed, plus those that are going to be asked for feedback face-to-face. The rest of the clients, divide by 12, interview them or send out their request for feedback each month. It's going to take a long time to get through that process, and someone's going to have to work with the business owners, make a bunch of stuff happen, and they're not going to get through there on their own. It's going to be really hard. Automating marketing and other communications. Okay, we're creating content and we can put it onto the website, but you've got to work a bit harder to actually make sure that it goes into the communications that are proactively sent out to clients, because most businesses, in reality, the relationship they have with their clients is one of wait until the client decides they want another one, and then the client will contact the business. In the meantime, the business will not be communicating with their clients in any meaningful way unless the client's asking to be sold to. Almost inevitably, marketing communications are unclear as well. Okay, so the message of who do we sell to, what problems do we address, and some strong point of differentiation or USP is completely lacking, so there's quite a lot of work around getting the communications right. And when the communications are right, then you can start to partner up businesses who both target a similar demographic in terms of client base, who have either complementary or non-competing product, to work together to make very targeted introductions to each other's client base. you have to have a clear marketing message, and you have to have the systems and processes in place, and you have to have evidence of client satisfaction, but then it's really easy to do it. But again, someone has to do it for the business. The business will inevitably not do it if left to their own devices. So what are the challenges for the client? Well, DIY is really not an option. Clearly we can do the interviews and we can create the marketing content and we can do the marketing automation in terms of website updates, without external assistance, but the business will fail to deploy the full process and get the full benefits that they should be getting. But they'll probably get a great ROI on a nominal spend of £300 or £400 a month. That then leads to, well, what does one-to-one support cost? Well, typically, it depends on the consultant, depends on the client, depends how long they need. But let's say it's 1 or 2 days a month at £1,500 a month, and it's going to take at least 6 months. As a £9,000 investment, and clearly that is appropriate. But it means we go through a process, and at the end of that process, then we start to find the referral partners, and there is quite a lot of effort required on the part of the consultant and the business to implement. There is actually a better way. Actually, it's a lower cost one. If the business works with the group of other businesses that will also target the same demographic in terms of clients, and let's assume the price is different now. Right price, I don't know, £250, £500 a month. I think the 500 is probably more, appropriate price in most cases for the value being delivered. But say it's done over 6 months. Now it's a nominal investment of say £1,500 to £3,000. Working with people who could make and receive introductions from day one, and having a bit of peer pressure and helping each other to maintain momentum cannot be underestimated. And obviously there's a group dynamic that builds where there's lots of value within the group itself. They will probably start making referrals almost immediately, even though it's a process at the end of which you get really serious on the referrals. The problem, however, for most businesses is there isn't a business mastermind group in their area that they could join, or not one that's got capacity. But if we're talking to a B2B business, almost certainly they've got a client, or if we're talking to an accountant, the accountant would logically be the host of a business mastermind group. The clients of an accountant want help and advice to increase sales and profits. The accountant wants their clients to be making more introductions. And clearly, therefore, the accountant, if they're going to be part of a referral group, would be offering introductions. Let's face it, most B2B businesses would be very happy if their accountant were making referrals. So from the accountant's point of view, it's looking great. They're making £3,000, £6,000 a month in fee income, and they're hosting a group of partners working towards making and receiving introductions. And now lots of people paying for the advice makes it eminent good sense for all parties. And obviously, if the accountant's got a reasonable number of clients, then they would operate not one group of 10 or 12 businesses, but they'd start to work through multiple groups. So who is this appropriate for? Well, let's take an actual example. So telecoms company with 1,000 clients, turning over about 1.5 million. They're extremely keen on the overall process, very keen to join a business mastermind group, and they're pushing their accountant to create one. Why? Well, they believe, and their plans are that they can get from 1.5 million to 3 million. In fact, they can get most of that through simply cross-selling existing clients. Well, what would an extra 1.5 million of turnover mean to them? Well, almost certainly another £500,000 of profit straight to the bottom line. How much would a typical business pay to have another £500,000 worth of profit in the company? Obviously quite a substantial amount, and that makes the numbers on this slide an absolute no-brainer. What do accountants think of it? Well, don't take my word for it. This is Sean Farnell, one of the senior partners at Birch & Bullock, 3,500 client practice in the Midlands. As Sean says, the whole Enquir3 process is pure genius. It is entirely logical and makes total sense. Jumping to the final paragraph, finding out what clients think, working to maximize retention, referrals and cross-sales, and automating marketing as far as possible is a total no-brainer. It really comes back to the very beginning. The more pre-meetings you have, ending in meetings, ending up with taking as many businesses as possible through as much of the process as possible, the better, if you want clients paying you for consulting. Anyway, I think that's it for now. Any questions, don't hesitate to get in touch. Steve Darnell, I'm the MD of Enquir3, and you can get us online at www.enquir3.com. www.enquir3.com. Speak to you soon. Thanks. Bye.